Hi everyone, this is Caitlin Bridge, otherwise known as BridgeBits. Um, I hope everyone is staying healthy and socially distant during this time if you can. That's great. I know that last week we spoke about a few different topics. We had the video on Hack CMS, and then we had the other video on the coronavirus, which was a bit of a deviation from our normal working routine. But this week we'll be going back to normal, talking about a new tech concept, which is web components. As you can see, I have the web components site up just to give a brief introduction to what this actually is. So, web components are a set of web platform APIs that allow you to create new, custom, reusable, encapsulated HTML tags to use in web pages and web apps. Okay, so that might sound like a lot, but it's not nearly as complicated as it seems, and it's actually a very awesome tool um, that we'll learn more about today. So, as coders, we love when we can reuse code. It is our favorite thing in the world. It helps making coding easier, it makes it go faster, it reduces the risk of human error by means of just like silly coding errors that we run into when we're left to our own devices as coders. So, this is a really important tool that can be used and allows us to reuse code, which is always extremely exciting. So, some important concepts and specifications to talk about when discussing components are the idea of custom elements, which are JavaScript APIs that essentially let us define custom elements and their behavior, um, which you can then use for whatever purpose you want. Shadow DOM is another important concept that is more or less a set of JavaScript APIs for attaching an encapsulated shadow DOM tree to an element. And by encapsulated, we mean that we can have a lot of different custom elements being used on the same page, but they're all self contained. So changing one doesn't necessarily change the others. And then we also use HTML templates, which are extremely important in web components because they let you write markup templates that aren't displayed on the render page necessarily, and they can be reused however many times you want. So I thought we could jump into a quick example that I have set up. I created this. You can see they're kind of just superhero playing cards of sorts. They're digital. I have Supergirl and Mon-El from the TV show Supergirl, which big fan of. Plug to that. But yeah, so you can hide info, show info, and all that fun stuff. So making the first custom element, it was the user card element. I made the first one for Supergirl. And after making that, it was extremely easy to make the one for Mon-El. It was essentially just copy and pasting all this and changing the name, the avatar picture, and like the actual attributes about the character. But so this is the HTML. The JavaScript is also pretty intuitive. Um, we're using create element. This is where the styling comes in. So this is how we decide the font, all the background colors, the margins, all that fun stuff. This is where we do the code for the button, the hide info button, just the styling for that. And then all the functionality is down here. The user card extends HTML element because we're making these their own custom elements. And we have a lot of functionality here. So that's it for this week. I hope you learned a thing or two about web components. As always, I'm BridgeBits on all platforms, and I'll see you all next week. Bye!